Before we start, kapag may mga narinig kayong tricycle, kambing, sasakyan na dumadaan, I just want to apologize in advance. Yo, 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 mga kabayo, what's up, Ketchup? And welcome to Inay Thank You, our time and space to learn life lessons from lessons about life. So, naalala niyo pa ba lahat ng mga natutunan natin from physics and chemistry? Everything that we've learned, fundamental forces, standard model, motion, energy, the laws of physics, entropy, all of these things. We're gonna see everything just come into place. So in as much as we understand the world by breaking things apart into smaller pieces, we have to understand that everything that happens in nature is all happening at the same time. We're gonna start with our very own universe. So bakit the children of dead stars? You're gonna have to stick around to the end of the video to find out. We're going to divide the story of the universe into 5 main chapters, which I just made up myself. We will be using this visual aid. You can download this from bbc.com. They created this poster in collaboration with the Open University. Punta kayo sa website nila. I'll leave a link in the description so that you can check it out anytime you want if you want to have a closer look, especially at the part right down here. So kasi hindi na natin yan masyado titignan. So we're gonna start our journey right here, where it all began. So we're gonna look at this chunk of what happened. And remember that this kind of just happened in a fraction of a second. Let's keep that in mind. Okay, the Big Bang Theory. This is the best explanation that we have for how the universe began. Bakit naman Big Bang yung tinawag? Meron ba sumabog? Wala actually. It's not an explosion. Let's remember that it's not an explosion. It's actually what we call an expansion. What happened was the space itself that kept all that matter and energy. Siya mismo yung lumaki. Hindi siya sumabog. Lumaki lang po siya. So parang sa bahay, if there are 10 of you in a family and dyan lang kayo, nagkasya sa isang maliit na bahay, mas magkakadikit-dikit kayo. Pero paano kung lumaki yung bahay ninyo? Oh my God, laki na ng bahay natin. Oh, yung yaman-yaman. So ngayon, mas pwede na kayo maghiwa-hiwalay. So ganun lang siya. So isipin natin, lumaki yung bahay. Huwag nating isipin na sumabog yung bahay. Kawawa naman. That's what the Big Bang is. It's an expansion. So lumaki yung space. Kung nasaan, nandoon lahat ng matter, antimatter, and energy. Puntahan na natin ang susunod na yugto. Let's move on to the next chapter, and it's this chunk. So I'm just gonna lump them all together. This is the part where, it's just mostly a hot soup, especially this part. Fundamental particles and energy, those were the only things that could really exist at that time. Yun pa lang talaga yung meron because everything was so hot. Super init. So, naalala pa natin yung mga quarks and leptons and also their antimatter counterparts, so antiquarks and also positrons. And then energy in the form of photons. So they were just swirling together in this really hot and dense soup. Matter annihilated with antimatter to form energy. Tapos lumamang yung matter particles. Mas marami yung matter particles kaysa sa antimatter particles. And that is the reason why we have visible matter today. Otherwise, everything would have been annihilated and we would not exist. So this is really a very important point in the history of the universe. So apart from that, you have your fundamental forces, which now began to separate ways. Gravity, and then the strong nuclear force, and then the electromagnetic and the weak force. Naghiwa-hiwalay na sila somewhere in this time frame. As the universe slowly cooled, quarks, now they began forming groups of 3. So remember that a proton is made of 3 quarks, neutron is also made of 3 quarks. That is how the nuclei came about. The nucleus of your atom. Diyan yan nanggaling. Nung lumamig na ng konti yung universe, nagdikit-dikit na yung mga quarks. Now forming your protons and neutrons. 300,000 years after the Big Bang, nabuo na yung atoms. Ano na lang ba yung kulang para magkaroon ka ng atom? Kulang ka pa, electrons. So yung mga electrons, kung meron kang proton, meron kang neutron, ngayon yung mga electrons mo, yun, attracted na sila dun sa protons. Ano ba ginagawa ng mga electrons? Bakit nung una si proton tsaka si neutron lang yung magkabarkada? Bakit si electron wala pa siya sa eksena? Ang kahalubilo ng electrons natin ay yung light energy mismo, the photons. Electrons and photons kept on colliding. The universe at that time was very opaque. Kind of like how this looks. Ganyan lang siya. Parang puti lang na labo. Okay? Yun lang yung itsura ng universe nun. It's because the photons couldn't get too far. They couldn't travel. Nagsimula nang ma-attract si electron kay proton. So si photons, hindi na siya masyado nababangga. So it had all the room to suddenly just radiate out into space. And that is what we can now detect through what we call the CMB, or the cosmic microwave background. This is what we're able to detect. Ito yung remnants ng Big Bang. Somehow the light from that time ago is now reaching us. And the speed of light is what? Ganun kabilis yung ilaw, pero ngayon pa lang dumarating. So ibig sabihin, ganun nakalaki yung universe. Sobrang laki. So that remnant of the Big Bang now reaches us. So nabuo na yung atoms, and the first atoms that formed are hydrogen and helium. And then there's a little bit of lithium, but it was mostly hydrogen and helium. And hydrogen and helium are gases. Always remember that atoms, since they are matter, a property of matter is it has mass. We're gonna see later. So during this part of the universe, so this stretch in the history of the universe, ito naman ang titingnan natin. We are going to look at the handiwork of gravity. Kaya naubuo tong mga stars, galaxies, and planets. It's really gravity. Gravity is just the interaction of two objects with mass. Hydrogen, helium, those are atoms. They have mass. So eventually, they'll be attracted to each other. Kaya ang tagal, millions of years. Kasi kung isipin natin kung gaano kaliit at gaano kagaan tong mga atoms na to, it'll take a while. It'll take a while before they actually start sticking together and, forming. Gas clouds. So yan nga po yun. Si hydrogen and si helium, they came together, now forming your first stars. The stars that we see in the sky and our sun as well is mostly made of just hydrogen and helium that came together. All while the universe continued to expand. Continuous lang yan yung pagbuo ng stars and galaxies. The first atoms that formed were hydrogen, helium, and lithium. So you must be wondering, there are 118 elements in our periodic table. Where are the rest? If the universe was just made of these, paano nagkaroon ng carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, nickel, magnesium, iron, gold, silver, etc.? They were formed in the core of massive stars. The core of the stars is where nuclear fusion takes place. So dito naman may eksena yung weak nuclear force. And remember that kapag nagbago yung number of protons ng atom mo, nagbabago yung identity ng atom. So si hydrogen, they will fuse to become helium. Si helium mag-fuse, so on and so forth, until such time when the core, yung pinakagitna ng star mo, puro iron yung laman nun. It's mostly iron. Iron yung laman yan, and sobrang bigat na nung iron. So it'll come to a point where it can't just support itself anymore. So it will explode. And all of the other elements in the outer layers, so kung may carbon man dyan, may oxygen man dyan, may nitrogen man dyan, and all the other elements that were formed in the process of fusion, pag sumabog yung massive star mo, boom! Edi lahat sila, they're going to be scattered across, just the vast expanse of space. So magkakaroon ka ng certain atoms here, certain atoms na kumalat, and then the cycle repeats. Because of gravity, they will be pulled together again, ganun lang po yun. And then they can form either new stars, or in some cases, they will form planets. So dito na po tayo, 9 billion years after the Big Bang, or from present day, that's about 4.6 billion years ago, yan. Nabuo ang ating star, which is the sun. So the sun was formed from this aggregation of hydrogen and helium. Tapos, may mga sumabog na massive stars siguro sa tabi ng sun dahil sa lakas ng gravity ng sun. It pulled all of these other particles, and then nagdikit-dikit din yung mga particles din. As they got bigger, the gravitational pull that they had was also greater now. So they're able to pull more stuff till they got bigger and bigger. and they formed the planets of the solar system. Yun. And that includes Earth. So, ganun po nabuo ang ating solar system. It's thanks to the gravity of the sun. Now, if we look at present day, so dito naman tayo. In the young solar system, when everything was still just forming, diba? So you have the sun at the center, and it was pulling all of these other matter particles in this disk. The very young planets noon, sobrang init pa nila. They were molten. Hindi pa talaga sila solid na solid. And bakit sila molten? Kasi maya't maya, dahil nga sa gravity ng sun na ang dami-daming hinihila, paikot-ikot, so mamayat maya, nababangga-bangga sila. So they don't have time to cool down because of all those collisions. Since through time, most of the matter was accumulated by the sun, most of the matter, around the sun, napunta na sa sun, na-attract na dun sa sun, and also na-attract na din dun sa mga ibang planets. There's less of the free-flying elements and atoms out there. So that means there were less collisions, and that also means that the planets now cooled. One of the 8 planets that were formed in the solar system allowed stardust to come to life. The children of dead stars. Nakikita na po ba natin kung bakit? So, present day, here we are right now. Whee! Ang laki-laki natin, di ba? Pero, this is where we are right now. And we are just so fortunate enough to have the consciousness to see all of this unfolding. Dead stars that came back to life and now have the consciousness and have this intelligence to rediscover and become aware of themselves. Nandito na tayo ngayon, enjoy lang tayo habang pandemya. Siyempre, meron din tayong future. All stars will eventually die. That includes our sun. The sun has about 5+ billion years left in its life. Once it's up, pagka talagang oras na niyang mamatay, it'll turn into this red giant. So, lalaki siya ng boga. Woo! Lalaki. Sobra siyang lalaki na kakainin niya yung Mercury and Venus. Kasi mawawala. Mercury and Venus will be engulfed. And possibly, pati si Earth. Or kung hindi man, syempre, kung gano'n nakalaki yung sun, na nawala na si Mercury at si Venus. So, it's a lot closer to the Earth. And we'd be so hot. As in, wala na. As in, super init, toasted. We're dead. As in, pritong Earth. Or baka hindi pritong Earth, baka matunaw tayo. Ganon kainit. Yan na po ang mangyayari sa ating future. And that's in about 20 billion years. Ay, di ba? Give or take, may mga 7 billion years pa tayo. We have that much time to either look for another planet or, you know what, as for me, ashes to ashes, stardust to stardust. Ako, I'm just happy that I was given the opportunity by Mother Nature na binuhay niya ako. Na I could have been anything else in the solar system. These atoms that are now part of me could have been anything else. I could have been just an asteroid, a comet, some other little planet. Sobrang laking pasalamat ko lang. Remember, there are so many billion stars and billion galaxies. Sobrang dami. Ganun karami. What are the odds na magkakaroon ng ganitong chance na mabuo yung ganitong organism na pag-aaralan niya ngayon? Yung mga bituin, yung kanyang mga ninuno na ngayon nasa kalangitan. This is the history of the universe in as quickly as I can try to put it without sacrificing too much of the details. Pag sinabi kasi natin theory, Big Bang Theory, this is what we always hear, diba? Big Bang Theory. And a lot of us might think, oh, it's just a theory. Yung statement na it's just a theory, it actually comes from the humility of the scientists. They're humble enough to say that as our tools improve, as our science improves, pwedeng magbago pa to. The definition of a theory is it's a compilation of so many different experiments, as in sobrang daming experiments that have tried to prove or disprove this hypothesis. Ang dami na niya napagdaanan, ang dami ng scientists na sumubok na i-disprove siya, pero hanggang ngayon, this is the best explanation we still have. So that's why it's the Big Bang Theory. So what other alternate theories are there. For people like me, dito sa Pilipinas, we have the creation story. Tignan lang natin ng mabilis tong creation story. This is Genesis chapter 1 from the Good News version of the Bible, and I highlighted the parts that were very pivotal. So this is day 1. So in the beginning, when God created the universe, the earth was formless. In the beginning pa lang may earth na. And then next, the raging ocean. So meron na ring ocean. God commanded, let there be light. He named the light day and darkness night. Paano ba natin na-experience ang day and night? If the side of the earth where the Philippines is facing the sun, then it's daytime. Kapag ka nag-rotate na yung earth at nakatalikod na yung side kung asan yung Pilipinas, if it's now facing away from the sun, it's nighttime. I do not know what the meaning of day and night is here kasi naka-quotation mark din naman siya. So it could be something else. As far as we know, this is how we define day and night in our physical experience. Day 3, let the water come together in one place so that the land will appear. So it seems as if the land was already there and pina-appear lang yan by like pushing the water into just one place. So once we get to day 4, let lights appear in the sky to separate day from night. God made 2 larger lights, the sun and then the moon. And then He also made the stars. Nauna yung earth, nauna yung water, nauna yung day and night bago nagkaroon ng sun at stars. Ito lang itatanong ko sa inyo. Pag pinatay natin lahat ng ilaw sa buong mundo, like all sources of artificial light, walang kuryente. What is our source of light? It's the sun. It's the sun and the stars. Paano nagkaroon from day 1 ng let there be light pero wala pang sun and stars? Unless this is the light that refers to the photons at the very beginning of the Big Bang, then it might make sense. But in that case, paano nagkaroon ng day and night kung wala pa yung sun? So that's the creation story. And I will leave it up to you to think about this. Ang masasabi ko lang, especially on this, and now we will make humans, and they will be like us and resemble us. Ibig sabihin, God gave us the brain, the mind, our senses, this intelligence to discover the world. At ito lang naman talaga yung na-experience natin. We're not making anything up. We're just discovering the universe. Would it be heresy? Would it be like sacrilege to God if the Big Bang is what we really observe with our own eyes, with the tools that we have, with the mind that He gave us? Kasi sa Kanya lang din naman ang galing yan lahat. At ito naman din yung natuklasan natin. So what's wrong if it's not the same as the creation story? So if you ask me if I personally subscribe to this story, no, I don't. Para sa akin kasi unfair eh. Kunyari, we have scientific research. O sige nga, where's your proof? Where's your proof? Where's your proof? When we talk about this and people will just say, well, it's faith. Kaya nga hindi mo mapatunayan because it's faith. If you're demanding proof from scientists for the Big Bang Theory, and we have it, we have a lot, ngayon, kayo naman, where is your proof for the creation story? That this is really what happened in this sequence and so on and so forth. Whichever theory of the origin of the universe you believe in, whether you believe in creation, whether you believe in the Big Bang, whether you believe in any other thing, go ahead. Nobody's stopping you. I think the only time when it really becomes an issue is when people start killing each other for beliefs, which happened centuries ago. So let's not do that. Anyway, what lessons have you learned today? Just leave it in the comments below. Share your thoughts. Go ahead and share your thoughts. Don't be afraid to offend me. Go ahead, say whatever you want. Go ahead. It's the internet. Say my hair is ugly. Say my face is ugly. Say whatever the hell you want. Go ahead. But if you want to check out other videos, other resources on the objectively true story of how the universe began, then I suggest you check out these videos right here, right here, right here, and here, and here. And I will see you guys next time. Kita kits mga bagits. Inay, thank you.